Am I alone? Hello? It's lonely here in our Georgia suburban homestead. Yay, OCD! How are you tonight? Guess we should give everyone a little bit of time to show up. So how did you spend your Thursday? Hey, A Brown. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Is this your first time with us? Good to meet you too. Yeah, it's been a rough day here. We had pretty good frost last night, and my excuse me, my husband's been having a temperature of 102. He's got a kidney infection. So he may pop in. And please excuse my coughing. I cough at this time of year. Well, OCD, we've spoken before on other channels, haven't we? Okay, A Brown, we're both square foot gardening instructors. Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah, it's according to the weather service, it's going to 35 here tonight. But it's typically with the chill factor been 2 or 3 degrees lower, so we'll get another freeze.
All the ducks and chickens are in the chicken house.
Oh, good, good. Charlie just came in. That's my husband, A Brown. We just built a new chicken pen, and, he went out to make sure everyone was in the new structure, and I gotta adjust the setting. Hold on just a second. Alright. We, we built a new building and expanded the pen to be quite large, probably about 50 by 45 feet. Um, so the birds have been trying to teach them to go into the building. This is what, the third or fourth night, Charlie?
Yeah.
And he just came in and was said that everyone was in their house. Yes, that's an upcoming video. I documented it, but we started in like April building this, and we only had 1 day a week to work on it. So that's going to be quite an editing chore. It'll probably be a long video, but if you want to see what we went through to build this, it was mostly recycled wood and materials. There's a few things we had to buy new, and we still need to clean up the site, but the chickens are enjoying it. Excuse me while I cough. I hope I don't keep doing that. But A. Brown and I are both certified square foot gardening instructors. And in case you guys don't know, I have a business that's called Heirloom Herbs and Edible Flowers. And I used to grow edible flowers for gourmet restaurants years ago, but then shut the business down, had a career in journalism. And now that I'm retired in 2014, I reopened the business as a teaching business mainly. But I do sell random plants and items locally, although maybe I'll get brave and try to ship some hard to find things. I'm always scared, if I put something in the mail that it's not going to be intact by the time it reaches its destination if it's a live plant. So I don't know. We only have 2 people here. Should I start my lecture and people can catch up and rewatch it? Hopefully it'll be more than 2 people show up. So do either one of you before I say that, hey Brown, have you seen any of my videos yet? Did you look at the one on the cattle paddle greenhouse that I did a how-to on how to build one? Oh, that's nice. You checked out a few. OCD, where are you from? Okay, well, it was fairly recent, A. Brown, and we didn't do an elaborate how-to, but because it's fairly simple on how to put one of these things together. But we now have three cattle panel greenhouses. 2 are 25 feet long, and one of them this year we cut it in half. So it's about 8 feet deep, Charlie, for our hot peppers. And we're in zone 7B8A. It does freeze here, obviously. We have successfully brought peppers through the winter here, and we had 4 rather large Scotch bonnet peppers that were 8 years old last winter, and they didn't make it through to spring. But 8 years, I think, is a pretty good lifespan for a pepper bush. They were Scotch bonnets. And okay, OCD is in Maryland. We have a third person in, but I don't see who you are. Jump up and say hey. Cool. Okay, so we're going to begin. And a lot of people, when you say edible flowers, look at you like you have 2 heads. You eat flowers? Yes. One of the things I do teach with my classes here is edible landscaping. And I tell people, don't be afraid to put vegetables in the front yard, because vegetables can be pretty. In fact, I use kale as a backdrop to a lot of things. And I know that you all know what kale is, and that kale comes in different shapes and sizes. You've got dinosaur kale that's dark green with a long, thin, spear-like leaf. You've got curly leaf kale that looks like lace, and that comes in both dark green, light green, and purple. You've got kales that look like feathers, and then there's one out of Eastern Europe that I'm growing for the first time this year that kind of looks like a pagoda to me, with like a layered roof and then another layer like a layered roof, and it goes down like a pagoda or a Christmas tree. I can't wait. That's only like that big right now in the garden. Yes, everyone, please hit the like button and comment. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is anise hyssop, and I wish I could see you guys. I'd say a show of hands who's heard of anise hyssop. Yes, I love kale too. I like it raw. I like it cooked. Oh Lord, I clicked on something I didn't mean to. Okay. I love kale. Soup, stews, salads, sandwiches. Uh, Kale chips are delicious. You put garlic salt on yours? I do a fresh kale salad with chopped sweet onions, sliced almonds, dried cherries, and cranberries with that balsamic vinegar over the top. It's really quite nice. So, who has heard of anise hyssop? And most of the seeds you're going to see tonight are from Baker Creek. So if you see something you want, you can go to Baker Creek and get most of this. Now, the thing you have to keep in mind is there's more than one kind of hyssop. This is Agastache funiculum. Go ahead and laugh at my pronunciation of these Latin names. Agastache funiculum. If I will say this, if you want a copy of my notes for tonight's broadcast, shoot me an email. And the banner that's going across the bottom of the screen has my my email on it. But anyway, anise hyssop. The leaves and flowers are edible. They have a sweet, lemony licorice flavor. And the flowers are used to garnish and sweeten tea, flavor sugar, bread, and honey. I grow it not only because I like the flavor and I make vinegars and oils from it and use it in fruit salad and regular salad, but I dry it for tea because, as you hear, I've got bad lungs and I am prone to bronchitis. And drinking this as a tea, steeping it 15 minutes in hot water, opens up my bronchia and helps me breathe. Now I have to say I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I will tell you how I use some of these herbs medicinally, but before you take anything as a medicine, check with your doctor, do your research online, cross-reference the name of the plant with the Latin name, with the words medicinal uses and side effects. Knowing your contraindications is very important. Also, so the health sites that this does come up, or your medicinal herbs will come up with, like WebMD. You go to the contraindication page and it tells you if you can take it with the medications that you are on. Yeah, try saying that thrice. Agastache funiculum. Join me. Agastache. That's the first word. Agastache. And the second part of it sounds like a cuss word. Foniculum. Funiculum. Yeah, A. Brown, that's a good idea. Hi, Cleveland. Okay, hyssop is mentioned in the Bible. One of the courses I teach is herbs of the Bible, but the hyssop that is mentioned in the Old Testament and is used as part of the Jewish Passover is not this hyssop. It's a different family name. But if you get the anise hyssop with the Latin name I can't pronounce, you can garnish your favorite desserts, topping your ice cream, fruit, frosted cakes with the fresh blooms. It's a surprising topping in salads. It's kind of like a licorice flavor, but it's not as it do- it doesn't assault your taste buds like a licorice does. And medicinally, the dried leaves can be used for coughs, fevers, wounds, and diarrhea. Okay, this one may surprise you. Ready? Yes, reflect on light. That the Hyssopus officinalis is the biblical hyssop, and a reflect on light. Who's Charlie, my husband? He's sitting over there. Um, is the hyssop mentioned in the Old Testament? This flower may surprise you. Do you know what balloon flowers are? Who here has grown balloon flowers? I've got seed here for 2 colors. That pretty blue and then a white. And I should probably tell you that we're starting off with cold hardy plants. So if you could get some seed and get these up and in the ground, these are all frost hardy, and depending upon where you are, you may be able to have them through the winter. Hey, Brown, are you talking to my husband about the traditional hyssop? Yes, some parts of the traditional hyssop, the biblical hyssop, are toxic, and that's why I didn't intend to talk about it. And hope you can see the name I cannot pronounce. Can you see that? Is that clear?
Nope.
Yeah.
Type it in.
Anyway, type it in somewhere. I'm going to type it in into the comments, and please excuse my newness. It is that's the hyssop you can eat. Balloon flowers. I'll type in their Latin name, and please learn to identify plants by their Latin name, not by the common name, because common names change with whatever region you are in the country or even part of the world. But the balloon flowers are sounds like a dinosaur. Platycodon grandiflorus. You're starting a cut flower garden in the spring. You imagine if you make a list or you send me your email and say, hey, send me your notes from the broadcast. You can make a list of things you want to grow in your zone. Like one thing I didn't put in my list was the zones it'll grow in. I probably should have done that, but we've got people in here from all over the place. Maybe I'll insert that before I email it out. But can you imagine being able to have cut flowers that you can eat too? Hey, Ruth. Hey, David. Welcome, welcome. We're having fun listening to me try to pronounce Latin names of things. Should I do my disclaimer again, y'all? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. So before you use any of these plants medicinally, check with your doctor. Look on WebMD, the website, to see if there's any contraindications with whatever medications you may be on. So if you take it, if you take these and you have a reaction, it's not my fault if you haven't checked it out, okay? So back to the balloon flower. I think they're gorgeous. They are perennial. They are frost and cold hardy. But you don't eat the flower. This is another thing you need to remember. You only eat the root. Okay? Some sources will tell you you can use the old leaves powdered as a flavoring, but the root is eaten in soups as a tonic vegetable. It's also peeled and pickled or preserved in sugar. Uh, the root has a similar flavor to ginseng with a bitter aftertaste. According to my notes here, it's used medicinally for thousands of years. It is a perennial herb to treat hypotension, lipid reduction, atherosclerosis. See why I didn't become a doctor? I can't say half this stuff. Inflammation, it relieves coughs and phlegm and promotes cholic acid secretion and is used as an antioxidant. We have someone else that's new here. Who else came in? Nikki. Who's Nikki? All right. Y'all get awful quiet. Okay. Some things that you're already eating probably that are edible flowers are actually flowers are broccoli, cauliflower. Wicked awesome. How are things up there in the great Northeast? Okay, people are slowly coming in. That's nice. We got 8 people in here. If I haven't said hello to you, I didn't notice your name come up. So speak up and I'll call you out. So wicked awesome. I know you know the cauliflower is, hey, a flower, right? Okay. I don't have a seed packet of this, but calendula. How do you say this? Calendula or calendula? It's easily grown from seed. I didn't start any for this fall, but I'll be starting some in late January. I can't talk any night. Wicked awesome. Danny. If y'all haven't checked out Wicked Awesome's channel, you need to. She's fantastic. Um, oh, okay. OCD is Nikki. I'll try to remember that. Okay, so the first calendula is how to say it, huh? It's a pretty easy herb to grow, wouldn't you say, Danny? And you can sow it from seed right into the garden. But here in North Georgia, we have uh, a drought going on, so I start mine in the greenhouse, and it pops up, and I put it in, and it's beautiful. But you can use the petals in salads, and the colors range from pure yellow to orange and red. And you remove spent flowers from the plant, and it pops out more, and it'll continue to bloom all the way from early summer into late fall. Um, yeah, Ruth, have you ever eaten them? Uh, Charlie's got a thing for zombies. Okay, the dried petals of the calendula plant are used in tinctures, ointments, and washes to treat burns, bruises, and cuts, as well as minor infections. Calendula has also been shown to help prevent dermatitis or skin inflammation in people with breast cancer during radiation therapy. You see it used quite frequently in salves, so that shouldn't be a surprise to a lot of us. Okay, I am going to enlist Danny in this as well. Chamomile. Chamomile is frost hardy, so if you've got it going and got it in already. Yes, A. Brown, the essential oil is great. Ruth, it'll start easy in the kitchen. If you have a windowsill, you could put it in. So chamomile is frost hardy, as I was saying. And the English/Roman chamomile is okay, here we go. Chamomilium nobile. It has small daisy-like flowers with an apple-like flavor. If you're allergic to ragweed, you might want to avoid it. Medicinally, chamomile is often consumed to reduce anxiety, which means I need it by the gallon. Um, and it helps improve sleep quality, which is why you see it sold as a tea. Most recipes call for heating the flowers in the liquid to extract their flavors and bioactive compounds. The leaves and flowers are usually dried first, but can be used fresh. While most often utilized for chamomile tea, the blossoms can also be made into syrups or other infusion for baked goods, smoothies, and desserts. So the herbal or cosmetic chamomile products are usually made with the Roman, can be made either with the Roman or German chamomile, which is the German chamomile is Matricaria chamomilla. And they have similar properties, but they're often confused. German chamomile contains a higher concentrate, but both herbs have a sweet scent reminiscent of apples. This is one of my favorite perennial herbs. Again, it's frost hardy, and that is chives. Chives are perennial and they bloom in the spring, but they should stay green all winter, even if under the snow. You can pull the snow aside sometimes and use them. But I pick the flowers in the spring and pour vinegar over them in a bottle, and I have a nice chive vinegar to spritz things. But you can also use the blossoms from leeks and garlic. Yeah, so Charlie's telling us that you can use the leaves or the petals in lieu of saffron, but I don't recommend that. I recommend real saffron. In fact, we've got saffron growing in the yard. That's one I didn't even put on the list because most people aren't aware of it. And it's a fall blooming crocus that will bloom 8 to 10 weeks after you put the bulbs in. So we're expecting our first harvest of the saffron bulbs that we planted this year around Thanksgiving. And that's a whole nother video. If we actually get some blooming this year, I'll make a video on how to harvest and process them. But I went out and checked them, and it looks like we've had an animal digging in the bed, and we put 130 bulbs in, and I think we may only have maybe 15 bulbs that haven't been dug up. So in the mail today, I got another another order of 25, and we'll be digging holes this weekend ourselves and putting down a little bit of hardware cloth over the top to protect them for whatever decided it wanted to eat them. You've never tasted saffron? Oh, what a treat it is. The best saffron comes from Kashmir, and it was their one famous, world famous crop. And it's kind of the Palestine of India and Pakistan. It's sandwiched in between, and they've been fighting for independence for many decades. India's trying to claim it. Pakistan wants to claim it. And these poor people are trapped and they're locked down. And landmines have been put all through the saffron fields, so they can't harvest the saffron. And it's one reason why saffron is so expensive. If you price it out, maybe Reflect on Light or my hubby will do a quick Google on the price per ounce for saffron, would you, babe? And we can let everyone know. Danny, have you thought about Danny's saying she really wants saffron, but she needs to wait until she has her property and then she can plant a ton. Have you thought about maybe putting it in big pots, big decorative pots? When it comes up, it kind of looks like cat grass. Well, you can try it in a pot, and you can haul your pot around. Hey, Mar, I don't recognize your name. How did you hear about us? Or am I going to embarrass myself by not recognizing it? But welcome. Okay, how many people knew that they could eat their daylilies? Wish I could just show of hands. Yes, daylily, not any other kind of lily. It has to be a daylily. Well, welcome, Mar. You're new to the channel. I hope you enjoy our content. So, Danny, how do you eat your daylilies? Look at that. Depending on insider reports, 1 pound of saffron can cost upwards of $5,000 per pound. And once you see the video and what you have to do to harvest it, you'll understand why. Yeah, some daylily and some salad this summer. So you ate the blossoms, Danny? Oh, that's nice, Marmar. Did they send you over? How nice of them. I'll have to say thank you. Yes, Charlie's getting ahead of us. When the daylilies first come up in the spring, you can pick the new emerging leaves and saute them, or put them in soups, and they're quite nice. Or you can allow it to go to bloom. And if you pick the blooms before they fully open, you can stuff them and fry them, or dry them and use them in the Chinese traditional hot and sour soup. And I have to tell you, if you've had the hot and sour soup without the daylily, and then you try it with the daylily in it, it adds a dimension that's hard to describe. It really is quite lovely. So then you let the blossoms actually open up, and you know they're only good for a day. So enjoy them most of the day, and then run out and grab them before dinner, before they start to fade. And you separate the petals, put them in a salad, or a sandwich, and they add a colorful pop. I used to mix them with a little bit of peach yogurt over Bibb lettuce with sweet onion, and it's awesome. Hosta's on the list. Hosta's on the list. So you've got to be a little bit careful with eating too many daylily buds. Uh, the buds, by the way, Danny, they taste like asparagus. Uh, and you stuff them, make them into fritters, but they can be a diuretic and a laxative. So don't pig out on them unless you want to, kind of clean yourself out. Um, how would you describe their flavor, Danny? A. Brown wants to know. It's a lot of flowers. It's hard to compare them with other things because they have very unique flavors. It's like a fresh green. Marmar, I haven't spoken about the hostas yet. Everything is in alphabetical order, and I've got 12 pages of flowers here, like 50 different flowers I'm going to talk about, unless y'all fall asleep on me. And hostas is on down. First of all, I'm talking about things that will make it through the winter in most places, or that are frost hardy, so that you can even start, if you order your seeds, you can start them December, January, and place them out before the end of winter, before your last frost, um, and enjoy them early. Yeah, you're jumping ahead, Danny. You are. Everyone's excited. Oh, edible flowers. Okay, this next one, Danny, have you ever grown nettle? Some people call it hedge nettle, purple betony. The Latin name is Stachys betonica, and I wish I could have the microphone on for other people so you all could try saying these things with me, and we could laugh. Okay, so that's hedge nettle. Hedge nettles, it's got little hairs on the leaves that sting. If you touch one, you'll be cursing for at least a day. I mean, they really sting. So when you harvest it, you need to have long sleeves on and gloves. But the nutritional value is phenomenal. The leaves are edible at any stage of the plant's growth, and you must cook them. You can't eat them raw. You last for a week. Um, you really will be sad if you try eating these with the stinging nettles raw. So cooking or drying them denatures the sting. They are nice and tender earlier in the season when they're young. If they've already grown flowers and seeds, they're still perfectly edible. Just pick the smaller leaves near the top. It's not wise to eat nettles when flowering between June and October, as they have a really strong laxative effect. And the plant will then contain cystolith. Let me type that in. Cystolith crystals, which can upset your urinary tract. And so that's not fun. The fresh growth from nettles that grow after being cut back is fine. So you cut them back, the new stuff popping out, just put your gloves on and go out and pinch the new growth and at any time of year, and that should be fine. Uh, you can get nettle tea in tea bags as well if you don't want to have to grow them. I won't grow it. So an infusion of the leaves and stems of nettle can be applied as a wash to wounds and infected sores or used as a poultice. A poultice of the heated leaves has been used in treatment of earaches and has also been applied to boils to bring them to a head. A decoction of the roots can be used as a gargle to treat sore throats. And in the area of the country that Wicked Awesome is in, which is up in the Boston area, it's been used for generations for those uses. Hedge nettle has long been revered throughout ancient Europe for its healing and magical properties. It's a powerful panacea. It was the most prized medicinal plant by the Anglo-Saxons and used to cure 47 different ailments by the Romans. However, if you're pregnant, do not take nettle or drink nettle tea. Due to lack of research, children under the age of 12 should also avoid it. And it's important that people with existing conditions and those who have take certain medications to speak with their healthcare provider. Okay. Drum roll. Hosta. The leaves of hostas can be treated like a leafy green or lettuce in recipes. Use in a salad, wrap a sandwich, or stir fry them. The younger leaves are more tender and less bitter than the larger leaves. Steaming or boiling works as well, but is not as popular. The hosta flowers and its buds are also edible. And according to the Guardian newspaper, any hosta is edible, though a popular variety to eat are montanas. So I'm going to type that in for you. You need to harvest your hosta. Say that 3 times fast. Harvest your hosta in the early spring, when the plants shoot up like kind of rolled stems. You cut those off at the root, and much like you would asparagus. Saute them with a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper, and roast them in the oven at 450 degrees for 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the thickness of the shoots. When they're done, you can easily pierce them with a fork. Hostas have a total of 101 compounds, including steroids, flavonoids, alkaloids, and again, there is a caution. The leaves and flowers are toxic to cats and dogs, so don't feed your leftovers to the cats and dogs. It may not be a good idea to do that. So how many here have hosta in their yard? I've lost 2 people. Go grab them and bring them back. Okay, Danny has them. Anyone else? Ruth? The next flower we're going to talk about is the marshmallow. This is Althea officinalis. That's Altheaea. No hosta, Ruth? No hosta, David? Oh, they're beautiful. Marshmallows. The young marshmallow leaves and tender flowers are kind of mucusy. For this reason, they're used as thickening agents in soups and stews. But you can slice them into salads or desserts to add a touch of sweetness. So they're somewhat sweet. And surprisingly, they taste amazing deep fried. Medicinal uses for marshmallow, leaf and root, is for pain and swelling of the mucous membranes that line your respiratory tract. They're also good for a dry cough. They reduce inflammation in the lining of your stomach, take care of your diarrhea, stomach ulcers, constipation. Anything that produces mucus will help you with constipation, like the wild violet, which I didn't put on my list, but wild violet also, not African violet, wild violet. If you have bronchitis, like I tend to get bronchitis, you make a tea of the leaves and flowers, and it helps you with your cough, and it will soothe your digestive tract. So far, is this interesting? Am I going too fast? Am I boring you? Please give me some feedback. Ruth, have you heard? She says she's just learning now about the edibles. Have you heard anything so far that you already grow, or things that you're writing down in a little list that maybe you want to try next year? Ruth's in Georgia, is why I ask. Okay, the next thing is really easy to grow, and again, it's frost hardy, and that's mountain mint. Mountain mint is edible and used by herbalists for remedies. The buds and the leaves are edible raw or cooked, and they have a hot, spicy, mint like flavor that makes a great spice or seasoning for meat, for those of us who eat meat. Um, Medicinally, this stuff makes you sweat and it helps with flatulence. So if you want not to be so windy and you need to sweat out an infection, maybe it's a good idea. Um, it's traditionally been used to treat menstrual disorders, um, but if you're pregnant, you don't want to eat it because it can cause you to abort the baby. This is one of my favorite edible flowers. It's kind of like a chrysanthemum, and it comes in both red and green. It's called Mizuna, which is Brassica rapa. And it's used a lot in Japanese cuisine. If you let it go ahead and bloom in the garden, it'll come up in all sorts of places. We put it in the front yard this year, and I noticed when we were walking the little patch of grass we have left from our raised bed to the road, we've got Mizuna popping up in the area that we are letting naturalize. So I was very pleased. I was giving a tour to somebody, and I said, "Oh, look, Mizuna," bent over, picked it, and ate it. And I always love doing that, and people look at you like you have two heads. Uh, okay, so Danny says she has too many hostas in her side yard, and she's looking forward to snacking on them to thin them out. Um, yes, Ruth, it's really great that flowers are attracting pollinators, and you can eat them. I do have to tell you that deer like your hosta. Okay, this one we have to be a little bit careful with is, oh, we've already done hedge nettle. I'm sorry. This was new to me when I was doing my research. I've been researching for a couple of weeks before this broadcast to see if there were anything uh, new that I could talk about, and that is stocks. Mathiola incana, extremely frost hardy. I'm going to type that in for you. And I went a little crazy because Baker Creek had a sale. It's the worst place to send me to look something up is Baker Creek because I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kinds of stock. It's used in Japan. Oh, no, that's Viola. What am I doing? Okay. Stocks. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 types of stock, but look how beautiful. That's vintage brown. That doesn't look brown to me. Did that look brown to you? This is a light pink. This is called Sakura no Kagayaki. It's even a lighter pink. Oh yeah, Ruth. Yeah, it's terrible. It's an addiction. This one is a medium pink. Thank you, love. This is an antique pink. Another pink. I'm surprised I haven't had something fly at me across the room over here. And this is kind of a purple. So imagine what that will look like in a bank. Just a large grouping. They produce a single stalk that's smothered with deliciously fragrant blooms. Gets to be 34 inches tall. But what do they taste like? They're a member of the cabbage family. The flowers are edible. The green seed pods, which can be added to your dish as a snappy radish flavor. Nice in salads and as a garnish. The flowers have a clove-like fragrance, which I would love. So you plant them in an area where their scent can be enjoyed. Best used as an annual in the South because they begin to decline once the temperatures hit 80. But Danny, I bet you could grow these up where you are and they'd stay all summer. You can boil the leaves as a pot herb or dry them and grind them to use like filet to flavor and thicken sauces, stews, and soups. Seeds are used as a coffee substitute or as a baking powder substitute. Germinating roots and tender shoots are eaten, and the flowers are edible raw. So, was I crazy in buying all those? I don't think so. Almost everybody knows that viola or pansies are edible. The only violet that you don't want to eat is the African violet. It is toxic. But I grow viola every year to put into salads and soups and use as garnishing. And I suppose I need to do a video on how to candy them. It's only for the very bored or those of us who like detail because it involves painting each petal with egg white. Ruth wants to try growing flowers in and around her vegetables, but she needs more space than she has. Ruth, there's a lot of flowers that you can use to enhance the growth of your vegetables and as companion plants. And some flowers like nasturtium can be used as trap plants. That I believe the nasturtiums attract the aphids away from the other plants that they usually attack, and they'll go to the nasturtium first, and then you can eat the nasturtium. That's on the list. I'll talk about them in a second. But I went crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's a dozen pansy seeds here. All sorts of colors. And where you might think I'm absolutely insane, just wait for the video on what I'm doing with them. I'll probably make 2 or 3 videos because I've got crafts I do with these too. That's just to show you the diversity of viola. Okay. Leaves and petals are edible and used in salads as a garnish, decorate cakes, make candy. Some people form them into balls and dip them in sugar syrup to make lollipops. Medicinally, it's good for skin conditions. Used externally in a salve. It helps with inflammation and eczema. You can use it in tea as a diuretic, and it helps you with your rheumatism and cystitis. Used to treat bronchitis and whooping cough, and it can be used as an expectorant. And by now, you know I've got bad lungs, so when my cough gets really bad, when the air temperature changes, I'll be using it as a tea. But different colors of the flower have different nutritional properties. White and yellow ones have higher proteins and antioxidants. Reds have high carbohydrates and carotenoids. The flowers have a little flavor but are edible in small amounts. They contain saponins and can be toxic in large amounts, so don't pig out on them. However, they're used as an anti-inflammatory and contain antioxidants. I've already told you. There are over 500 species of viola. And they're really easy if you live in an area where you get enough rain for the soil to be moist. You just sprinkle them on the soil and pat them in a little bit. But as I said, we've had such a bad drought here in North Georgia that the only way I'll be growing them is in seed trays to start. And I'll put the plant starts out when once you've watered them in for a couple of days, they go to town. They grow perfectly fine. Okay, they can also attract aphids and slugs. Again, if you want to attract aphids and slugs away from your vegetable plants, they're a good companion plant for that. Yes, companion planting. We have to do a video on companion planting as well. That's kind of controversial. Some growers will tell you that companion planting is BS, but from my experience, there are definite benefits with certain plants planted next to each other, and there are some detriments as well. So that concludes the flowers that I have that are frost hardy. Again, to repeat for people who are just coming in, if you want a copy of my notes that I put together for this broadcast, send an email to me. It's scrolling on the banner what my email is, and say, "Hey, Lisa, send me your notes," and you can refer back to this when you're planting your garden. So we just finished the cold weather or the cooler weather edible flowers. Now I'm going to talk about things that you're going to probably start in late winter to be planted out in the spring that will go through the summer. Okay. Ruth's going, video. Okay. Anise-hyssop is on my list. We've already talked about anise-hyssop. And then there's balm. Dracocephalium moldavicum. Try that again. Dracocephalium moldavicum. Also known as Moldavian dragon head balm. I'll type that in for you. All right. Just out of curiosity, how many of you are trying to say these names to yourself and end up cracking up? Okay. This is Eurasian native and it's been cultivated for centuries. It has minty lemony leaves and large purple flowers that have been used in herbal tree, and it attracts bees. It's a very aromatic, beautiful annual medicinal and spice plant with a wonderful citrus aroma. You can use the flowers and leaves fresh or dried, and they're suitable for preparing fresh herbal tea, lemonade, or iced tea. This plant can also be used as a spice in desserts, salads, and fish dishes. It's said to have digestive and liver stimulating properties. It's also suitable for the preparation of herbal liqueurs. And I got 3 of them. So guess what? I'm going to give 2 of these away. Hold on toward the end of the broadcast and I will do a drawing. 2 different people will get these seed. What do you think of that? Who in here is not familiar with borage? Maybe with stevia, yeah. So, A. Brown, what did they teach you in square foot gardening about borage? 1 per square foot? I don't remember. I think it's 1 per square foot. It's been, I got my certification in teaching the square foot gardening 2 years ago. I'm waiting for A. Brown to chime in on that, depending on variety. So borage is it's kind of a fuzzy leaf herb. It has sky blue flowers, but I did buy this variety as a new variety with white flowers. I'll be interested in see that. And it kind of tastes like cucumber if you eat the stems. Some people will freeze little borage flowers in ice cubes, and it looks nice in your glass of tea in the summertime. Hey, Brown, I haven't had it. You know, people will say this or that is invasive and it'll spread, and I must be unlucky because I never am lucky enough to have something reseed except for the Mizuna. No, I didn't talk about stevia, Ruth. I found with stevia that I would need to grow an acre for the amount I would use for sweetener. It takes a lot of it because, you know, you have to dry it and powder it. So you may have like 3 cups of stevia leaves fresh, and then you dry it down and you get like a teaspoon when you grind it up of sweetener. So to me, as I learn these different plants, if it takes a lot of, if it's going to take a lot of it, I don't have the room to grow what I would need. So I'd rather buy it from another source. Mountain Rose Herbs is a good source for any of these herbs that you decide I don't want to grow it. They're pricey, but they're worth it. The only thing I would be careful of is sometimes they'll tell you where the source is, and I don't buy anything from China because God knows what they've grown it with. So again, it's one of those things. How much space do you have? You take borage oil. What do you take borage oil for? Okay, so while he's answering what he's taking borage oil for, or she, I'm sorry, say in herbal medicine, borage is used to treat minor ailments such as sore throat or cough. However, human research to support that claim is iffy. Both the flowers and leaves are edible. Flowers are often described as having a slightly sweet flavor that is reminiscent of cucumber and honey. I can vouch for the cucumber, but I haven't really tasted a honey type flavor. But I'm spoiled because My husband over here keeps bees, and I have all the fresh honey I can stand. So I'm kind of jaded and picky when my honey flavors. The flowers you can eat fresh in a salad or as a garnish for desserts and cocktails, or they may be cooked and added to soups, sauces, or stuffed pasta fillings. It can also be served as a standalone vegetable side dish if you're using the stems. It does have a hairy stem, so if you're going to pick the stems that are like as thick as your finger, or maybe a little bit thicker than your finger, you want to take a vegetable peeler and peel the outside of that. All right, now here's something that may interest you. Coxcomb. How many people in here grow coxcomb? Hmm? That is Celosia cristata. Any of the celosias are edible. In fact, the celosias are eaten throughout Africa as a vegetable. They're not grown just to look at. They're grown to eat. Um, let's see. It came here all the way from Africa and is eaten in Africa, Indonesia, and India. Stem, leaves, flowers are used for stews, soups, and as sides to meat and poultry. Some people eat it as a snack in dressings or smoothies. Saute it with salt and pepper as a side dish. Although celosia is primarily grown as an ornamental plant here in the United States, it is very popular in the countries I just mentioned as a mainstay uh, vegetable. The celosia leaves can be boiled or steamed and eaten as a side dish as well. Now, if you buy these from a nursery, you may not want to eat them because a lot of times nurseries will use systemic poisons in the plant to keep pests off. But if you go ahead and buy seed, they're supposed to be very easy to germinate. I haven't planted them in years, but I don't remember having a problem germinating them. Isn't it an amaranth? What is the scientific or Latin name for amaranth? Uh, Amaranthus. So no, it's not an amaranth. Callaloo's an amaranth. David, you have some. Have you ever eaten them? Says here it's a good vegetable to cook in a hurry. My camera has kind of gone wonky. Can y'all still see me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, perhaps one of my favorite, and I don't have a packet of seed to show you because they're all being cold stratified. Some of these flowers you have to cold stratify to get them to germinate, and that's just a matter of mixing the seed with moist sand in a Ziploc bag and putting in the refrigerator for like 3 months before you actually plant them. And this plant, my favorite is the dandelion. I did order pink dandelion from Eastern Europe and dandelion with it's white with a yellow center from Japan, and those are being stratified. I look forward to planting those, and I've got Italian dandelion growing in pots because they make the really long dandelion leaf that you can get at the farmers markets to eat. And uh, glad that you can see me. I love dandelion. The leaves are a probiotic, and you can use them raw or cooked, chop them into a salad with other greens because they are bitter. Did you know that bitters stimulate bile production and so they stimulate your liver? And so if you eat a bitter, whatever plant you're eating that is a bitter, 15 minutes before you eat a larger meal will help you digest that meal. So if you're looking for a source of probiotics, whether it's to stimulate your liver or because you've been on antibiotics and you need to get your gut flora back into shape, dandelion leaf is a wonderful thing to do. If you want to use it as a diuretic, buy dandelion tea or dry your own leaves for later to steep as a tea. But here's the interesting thing to me about dandelion is if you take the root, and they have a long tap root, so you dig the plant up and you clean that root and you chop it and dry it and then roast it, dry roast it like in your iron skillet and use it as a coffee substitute. The flavor is amazing. It is so comforting and so delicious, and it's a prebiotic. So, what is a prebiotic? A prebiotic, again, feeds your gut flora, it feeds the probiotic. So, if you have the prebiotic at night with your dandelion root tea, and then in the morning you take a little bit of the dandelion leaf tea, they'll feed upon each other and help you restore your gut flora. I don't recommend dandelion leaf tea before bed unless you like to get up every hour and pay your dandelion dues, I guess. Yes, you can, Nikki. If you get enough hours of cold. Nikki is asking, could she use the winter sowing method of milk jugs outdoors? She's in Maryland, so she's far enough north for that to work for you. Okay. I also don't have a picture of the Echinacea purpurea. If you go to some of my videos or my Facebook page, which is Friends of Georgia's our Georgia Suburban Homestead, you'll see Echinacea, the purple flower, with my cat Brucey the garden cat, all through my yard. We've got about 75 of them. They're perennial. It is a medicinal herb that we use to boost our immune system. I make tinctures. I dry some for tea. I infuse honey with it, and we managed to stay healthy through the pandemic, partially because of the use of Echinacea. It's another one though that needs cold stratification to germinate, but once you have it, you should have it. The hybridized coneflower, which is another name for the Echinacea with the different colors, doesn't have as much of the medicinal properties as the original pink. So you really want to look for the purpurea, Purpurea, Echinacea purpurea, and that's the type. Even Walmart sells Echinacea tea during cold and flu season. But if you let it come up in the garden and enjoy it for a day or two, and then walk through the garden and pull the petals off and allow the center of the flower to mature, you'll have goldfinches and all sorts of birds coming down to eat it. But of course, they won't eat all the seeds. Some of the seed will fall. And if you live in an area that gets enough cold in the winter, it will germinate on its own in the spring. And then it spreads. And that's a wonderful thing. You may want to be a little bit careful if you try to use it every day for more than 8 weeks at a time, because it ends up, if you oversaturate yourself with it, and it'll end up suppressing your immune system. So don't drink it every day for 8 weeks. Do it intermittently. And I guess we need to do Charlie, a video on fire cider. If y'all familiar with fire cider, that he's over there laughing. He'll drink the fire cider straight. I have to mix it with apple cider. That's a whole nother topic. Feverfew. How pretty is that? Feverfew is good for migraines. Now, a couple of my friends who I hope are all here. I haven't seen Adrienne in a while, and she had a family tragedy. But she gets migraines. And Danny, do you get migraines? Anyway, this is supposed to help with migraines and PMS for those of us who are still getting their pee. If you chew a leaf at the first sign of your symptoms, it'll supposedly rapidly help you get rid of that headache and keep it from coming on. Um, but it tastes terrible. Blech. Um, what medicine, real medicine, doesn't taste terrible, huh? If you don't have the taste buds for it, you can put it in a sandwich to mask the flavor. Um, both the flowers and leaves of the feverfew plant are edible, and it's very important that they are processed properly before they're consumed. This can be done through creating a dried flower powder, dried leaf powder, or fresh leaves. They need to be steeped like tea. Have Danny, have you tried feverfew? Because it grows where you are really well. Another plant that I don't have in front of me to show you, but everyone knows what a gladiola is. Is there anyone that here that does not know what a gladiola is? Um, Gladiolas are kind of like cranberry flavor with citrus overtones, and the petals can be slightly acidic, so they're good mixed into salads. So you would pick the gladiola and separate the petals out from the calyx and throw them in your salads. Uh, take the anthers out, just use the petals. All right, here's another one, Gomphrena. Gomphrena globosa, commonly called globe amaranth, have tiny true flowers that protrude from layers of brightly colored papery bracts that form 1-inch clover-like flower heads. Um, the whole flower head is edible, but it doesn't have a pleasant texture. As you know, it's kind of stiff, right? So it's better used as a garnish or brewed for tea. Here's one that might surprise you. How many of you knew that Job's tears are edible? And I'm not even going to try to say this. I'm going to type it in. Okay, Job's tears. Um, all right, popular in Vietnam. Cooked whole Job's tears find their way into sweet, cold soups. Thailand, they're added to drinks the same way tapioca balls are added to bubble tea. Job's tears cooked into a syrup can be a topping on shaved ice, kind of like sweetened red beans. Job's tears is the whole glass plant, but the seeds of the Job's tears are a delicious and edible part of the plant once the hard outer shell is removed. You harvest these in the fall. It's used in Chinese cuisine, simmered with water and sugar to make a cloudy drink that's creamy, nutty, and sweet. And it sounds good to me. I will be trying that this time next year, God willing, right? Marigolds, most marigolds are edible. Um, they're not frost hardy, sadly. Uh, Varieties such as lemon gem and tangerine gem are the best tasting. They're kind of citrusy. You eat the petals or leaves, raw or blanched, fresh or dry, sweet or savory. To prepare them, pull the entire petals from the stem. Hold them firmly in your hand with scissors, cut off the white or pale greenish heels or the bulb on the back of them, because those can be bitter if not removed. Mexican marigold. This is a perennial. Um, I had these in pots that lasted 3 or 4 years before I had to replant. And once you get them going, you can stick them in a pot where they get semi-sun or at least half a day of sun, and ignore them. They've got an anise flavor to them that's good. The edible flowers are good, either used as a confection or in salads. The leaves are like tarragon, and you can chop them into eggs or used with meat. Nasturtium, another one of my favorite because it is a trap plant. It's a great companion plant. I thought I had some. Here we are. Nasturtiums come in all sorts of colors. And those are known by Tropalium majus. Danny, I need you to pronounce these things for me. Danny speaks better than I do. Okay, so nasturtium. It's kind of peppery. The leaves are more peppery than the blossoms, and the blossoms have a little bit of a sweet flavor to them. Back when I was growing for restaurants, gourmet restaurants, I would introduce these flowers to the chefs and tell them to either do a, a cottage cheese with sliced strawberries and pineapple and stuff the blossoms, or an egg salad in the blossoms because the peppery flavor would bring out the peppery flavor, and it's quite nice. Uh, but they are a trap plant for aphids that if you plant them in between your vegetable crops that tend to get attacked by aphids, the aphids will go to the nasturtium before they go to the other plant. And then if you're going to eat the nasturtium, wash them unless you wanted the added protein. I mean, who's to say that eating an aphid won't hurt you? But okay, I can hear y'all going ew from here. Sorry. But both the leaves and the blossoms of the nasturtium are packed with nutrients. They give lots of vitamin C. They help improve your immune system. They help you fight off sore throats, coughs, colds. They're antibacterial and help you with fungal infections. So you can't lose with the nasturtium, and sadly, they won't grow through the winter. Blossoms, let's see. When it goes to seed, the little seeds can be pickled and used like a caper. So they would taste like a caper, and it'll be a lot less expensive if you let them go to seed and collect the seed. There's something I don't have a picture of here that I absolutely adore and I grow every year. It's called a rat tail radish. And the rat tail radish is a relative of the globe radish that you're used to growing under the ground. But this grows like 3 feet tall and it's covered with blooms. And what you eat is when it's done blooming, those blooms go down and they form pods. And you pick the pods when they get about that long, about 2 inches long, and you use them as you would a radish. They've got great flavor, but you enjoy the flowers, and the pollinators that come in to these things is amazing. So it's a showy 3 foot tall bush with beautiful flowers and really spicy pods, and it's the pods that you're after. Everyone's too quiet. I'm thinking you're leaving me if you're that quiet. Um, how many people in here have eaten roses in some form? I'd like to see some reaction to eating roses. I grow 3 kinds of culinary rose, and the usual rule of thumb is if you like the scent, you'll like the flavor. Rose hips, yeah, that's Rosa rugosa, A. Brown. We have 3 bushes of Rosa rugosa. They're so full of thorns, I'm killing them. I'm cutting them out this year, and they take a lot to process. But I grow a Damask rose, which is the rose from Syria that the Chaldean Christians and the Roman Christians, use as incense in their liturgy. And you see, if you're not of those faiths, most of us have seen movies with the priests with the swinging incense lanterns that they use during the liturgy, and it's the damask rose made into incense. But they have a wonderful flavor, and I use them in rose water, rose oil, rose simple syrup, dry them for tea. They're wonderful if you mix them with holy basil, or some people call it tulsi. So it's rose petals, tulsi, and some dried mint. It makes the most wonderful warming tea in the wintertime. Um, One thing you need to remember when you collect your rose petals is they'll have the petal with the color on it, and then they've got white where they attach to the calyx. You're going to want to snip that white off because it's bitter. But it's well worth the work, and it's just wonderful. Especially women tend to like rose. Um, but they can be eaten raw, mixed into various fruit or green salads, or dried, added to granola or mixed herbs. Make rose-infused beverages, jams, jellies, vinegars. Chop them into sugar for rose sugar. Um, some research has suggested that the compounds in roses may play a role in reducing anxiety and promoting relaxation. Now, a lot of hey, Doc Lord Menet, how do you say it? Doc, you'll learn that I can't talk. Dark Lord Menet. Hi, sorry. Anyway, now Miss Ruth and OCD on the channels we've met at, we've heard people talking about Roselle hibiscus. And when I lived in Florida, I had several Roselle plants. That's white borage. We're nearing the end of my list of things. Some of you will say thank God, but here we are. Now, the Jamaicans use this to make a beverage at Christmas time called sorrel. And what sorrel is, you pick those blossoms and dry them and boil them with sugar and then add rum. But they'll boil them in the sugar stuff for a couple of days. Jamaican sorrel, that's right. I get it to grow here. It comes up, it does great, but it doesn't have enough time to produce the flowers for me. So I just go to the farmer's market. We've got a great farmer's market here in Georgia called the DeKalb Farmer's Market, and I buy them. Someone else has already dried them for me, or the Jamaican grocery stores have it. I mean, you're not a Jamaican grocery store if you don't have sorrel there, but that's really high in vitamin C. I would pick the leaves from these bushes and put them in my chicken or fish sandwiches, or cook them with my fish. A Brown, you've been to the DeKalb Farmers Market? That's part of the reasons we moved here from Fort Lauderdale, was the DeKalb Farmers Market. Anyway, they're used in relishes, tea, jams, or salads. But any hibiscus flower is edible, and I hope that's new information for you. They're antibacteria. They boost your immune system with their high vitamin C, but they can cause blood pressure drop and blood sugar drop. So if your blood sugar runs way high, they can be used to help treat your diabetes, but you do need to monitor your sugar levels. And there is a warning about not drinking sorrel or consuming sorrel if you are breastfeeding. The next on my list here, I'm reading the comments here. Ruth says she hasn't been to the DeKalb Farmers Market in a minute. Ruth, there's another market here that's where is it, Charlie, that caters more to Asians?
Mandaeun?
No, Namdaemun. It's up 85 more heading toward Tennessee. But there's another huge market, Ruth, that I think might be closer to you. I can't remember the name of it now, but they're fantastic if you're into Asian vegetables and spices and things. And they have a huge section for the Eastern Europeans. Anyway, I digress. Lavender. Lavender is a sedative. I love it. I grow it. Several bushes out there. Not only do I use it dried for tea, but I use it dried and fresh in cooking. I'm going to really quickly spout this out there that I'll take the lavender flowers, dried lavender flowers, put them in a spice grinder, and I get a piece of fish that is a good thick white meaty fish like orange roughy or something like that, and you put a little bit of vegetable oil on the top of that, sprinkle the about a tablespoon of the lavender that has been through the grinder over the top, and then you fry the fish. Let's set it in oil, and when it's almost 2/3 of the way done and you can see the color changing, you flip it gently for about 30 seconds to a minute. Very gently flip it over, and then the lavender's kind of browned on top. And then you're going to melt a stick of butter, put another tablespoon of the dried lavender that you've put through the grinder, and mix that together with a tablespoon of honey. And you drizzle that over roasted asparagus. Meanwhile, you've taken boiled potatoes and then sliced the boiled potatoes, fried them in the fish oil, put them on the plate, and put more of the honey lavender over the top of that. Serve it with a glass of white wine. And if you do this for company, make sure they're not driving far because they will be half asleep by they walk out the door because the lavender is a sedative. But you talk about yummy, makes your house smell great. I will be doing a video on how to cook duck with lavender. That's another treat. So I hope I've teased you to try to go out and get the lavender. Ruth says she's been trying to get lavender and rosemary to grow from seed. You really need cuttings for the rosemary to really take. Hey, Hans, you've missed it. But I'm so glad you're here. Hands in the dirt. Everybody wave at Hans. He's a wonderful person. He has a great channel. And I tend to be intensely serious. It comes from 30 years of reporting and dealing with awful things. I tend to be just intense and serious. And I show up for his Wind Down Wednesday. Hands in the dirt. What time does your Wind Down Wednesday usually start? But y'all, they have me laughing so hard. I sit back here and laugh, and it makes me feel better. And he is therapy. Hands in the Dirt is therapy, and he gives great tips. Great channel. Give him a squint if you haven't already. Okay. Purslane. Those of you who have cattle are cussing me right now because you're all trying to get purslane out of your pasture. But don't kill it. Dig it up. Put it in your garden. Put it in your garden and eat it. It's a succulent. It produces tiny flowers and has thick leaves that taste like cucumber, but they're kind of tart. They can be eaten cooked or raw. You go to an Asian market and they sell it in bundles. Okay. It's really high in vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. And its biggest claim to fame is its omega-3 fat content. It provides more omega-3s than almost any other vegetable of its kind. Young leaves are best eaten when they're raw. The flavor is sometimes sour and sometimes salty. And they're juicy, and they can be cooked in pies and stir fries. They hold their shape. Put them in a sandwich for a little bit of crunch. High vitamin C content. It's best eaten raw, so you can't really preserve it. The fat-soluble vitamin A that it contains is best absorbed when it's cooked with a little bit of fat, such as olive oil. It does have a high level of oxalate, so if you have kidney problems, this is not for you, or if you're prone to urinary tract infections, it's not for you. But everyone else, you'll thank me. Squash blossoms. Who in here has had squash blossoms? They're great. And you don't have to pick the female squash blossoms, because all of us know by now that you have male and female blossoms on the squash plant. And you'll learn to recognize that the female blossoms are closer to the stem and the males are big and showy. You can pick those male blossoms and stuff them, fry them, use them in hot and sour soup. They're wonderful. Rose of Sharon. Rose of Sharon is edible. You eat the leaves, blossoms, and bark. They contain vitamin C and anthocyanins, which are antioxidants. The young leaves can be eaten raw or cooked. They have mild flavor, but they get tough as they age, so you want the young leaves. But they're good when you mix them with the soft leaf lettuce. That's good, Ruth. What did you eat yours in? Okay, another favorite flower that when I was growing for gourmet restaurants is the scented geranium, and that is a Pelargonium graveolens, and that is different from the showy geranium that you use in the hanging basket. Let me type that in. Okay. So I taught chefs how to use this. These leaves, you don't grow them for the blossoms, you grow them for the leaf. And there's got to be more than 100 scents that range from rose to peppermint to nutmeg to citrus. The mosquito plants that you get at the big box stores that are with the scented leaves that are marketed as a mosquito plant are a scented geranium, and I use those to line the bottom of a cake pan for angel food cake. Pour the batter in, bake it, then it comes out of the oven and you take it out of the the cake pan. You have to peel the leaves off because they don't look so good once they've been baked. But serve that with whipped cream with a touch of rose water in it and a cup of orange pekoe tea, and you think you're gourmet. Um, they're really easy to grow. They're drought tolerant. Uh, they take full to partial sun. You can flavor sugars, enhance potpourri, or sachets. When you dry the leaves, they keep their scent up to 6 months. And the attar of rose, ATTAR of rose, is what the French use to make their attar of rose perfume. So if you've smelled the attar of rose perfume, that you're smelling a scented geranium. We all know sunflowers are edible. I don't need to really talk about that. There's an edible chrysanthemum, tong ho, used in Vietnam and China and Japan. They're used lightly cooked or chopped up raw in salads, and they have a light peppery taste that makes them ideal as a soup green. Um, let's see. You absolutely have to have it if you're going to make really authentic uh, Beijing or Yang style hot pot. Medicinally, they've been used for thousands of years. It doesn't say what for here, but they have a flavor similar to chamomile. You can blanch the flowers and leaves and stalks, and eat raw in salads. Hands to the dirt. You leaving? Oh, thanks for showing support. Did you hit the thumbs up? Everyone hit the thumbs up. I need to serve wine for him to hang around, maybe. All right. Almost done. 1, 2, 3 more to talk about. Toothache plant. Toothache plant. Hey, y'all, if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Thumbs up, subscribe, say something. Toothache plant. I kind of play trick on kids when they come visit my garden, and I'll hand them one of these and say, just taste just a little bit of it. The reason I call it a toothache plant is it immediately will numb your mouth. So if you have a toothache and you don't put the whole flower in your mouth because it's overwhelmingly strong, just a piece of it up where your tooth hurts, and it'll numb that area of your gum. Um, it supposedly can be enjoyed raw. Um, it can be used if you're constipated, but again, the flavor is so strong, I don't know if I would enjoy it in anything. I make a tincture out of it. I grow it about once every 4 years because the tincture doesn't go bad. And if we have a sore throat or a sore tooth, or if you drink something too hot and you burn yourself, I dip a Q-tip in the tincture and then just run it lightly over whatever hurts. And then for the next hour or two, I can't taste or feel anything in my mouth. Yeah, it does work, Ruth, but it's overpoweringly strong. So if you want me to do a video of how to do a tincture, I can do tincture making. Um, Grow it 1 year, enjoy the weird little flowers, harvest them when they before they get spent, and make yourself a tincture. A little bit of vodka and a tincture, like a bottle, maybe what 6 to 8 ounces. Unless you have chronic gum problems, it will last you several years. Okay. Um, Second to last flower I'm going to talk about is a vegetable from Africa. I love everything African. Their medicinal herbs, their flavors, their uses of vegetables. This is a new one for me. Water leaf, boko spinach from Nigeria and or Ghana, West Africa. It's popular for soups, stews, stir fries, and pizza. How's that for a mix? It can be enjoyed raw. It's recommended not to eat it in large quantities. Um, it's used in, and I'm sorry, anyone here from Africa, I can't speak English, much less Nigerian. This is goburi eligusi, which is a Yoruba dish. I have some good friends who are Yoruba, by the way. They have the scars and everything. Um, Use it when you're constipated. And that's probably why they say don't use a lot of it if it cleans you out. Um, let's see. If you want to look up a recipe, look up. How would you say that? Goburi iligusi. The miracle seed from Africa. Are you talking about the West African miracle bush with the little red berries, Ruth? Um, the miracle berries, it's a shrub from either West or South Africa, and everyone says, "Oh, it makes it so if you eat one of these, everything you eat after that for an hour or two tastes like sugar." And it's true. You eat a berry, and the only thing you can taste is sugar, no matter what you're eating. And I bought a bush when I lived in Fort Lauderdale, and I ate a couple of the berries, and it was interesting. But I like hot, spicy food, and that night I went and got a huge box of nachos loaded with jalapeno peppers, and all I could taste eating the nachos was powdered sugar. And this was 4 or 5 hours after eating one of those berries. 8 hours later, same thing. So I was totally frustrated. I had this wonderful, beautiful uh, dish of nachos, and all I could taste was sugar. And I've never gone back to the Miracle Bush. Um, yeah, I like to taste my food, and it was unique, but I gave the bush away. The last edible flower, yay! I'm going to talk about tonight is, and this by no means is all the edible flowers. This is just all the flowers I could find for tonight's broadcast. Our zinnia. Did you know you could eat your zinnia? And I've got two varieties here. I thought they were pretty. I've got more varieties in my other seed collection. But the whole plant is edible. The best flavors in the petals. and supposedly they can be bitter. I will be trying them this coming summer, next summer, 2023. Okay, that's about it for all the research I did for tonight, and I know it's probably got kind of boring and cumbersome watching me speak for an hour and a half on this. But I hope you learned something new. Um, I hope you found me a little entertaining with my attempts to pronounce things. I'm opening it up for questions. If you have any questions, let's start question and answer, and then we'll have a drawing where two people. I'll send two separate people some flower seeds. Heck, I'll do three people because I like threes. And a third, I'll do four. I'd like to give things away. I'll give a stock and let's see. I think I had two of those. Bear with me just a second. Yeah. I'll give a stock away and one of these violas, all edible. So what can we do? And I haven't been able to figure out how to get the wheel on the screen so y'all can see it choose the name for us. So, okay. Those of you who want the balsam, I'll give you a minute to type in balsam. BALSAM. Did you enjoy it, OCD? Thank you. Well, I hope I've given you some ideas, Ruth. Charlie, you want to run the wheel for me?
I don't know how.
Charlie. I'll tell you how many people have said it, and then you just randomly pick a number.
Okay.
That's my wheel. Don't forget, if you send me an email, it's in the banner that's scrolling across the screen. You send me an email and say, hey, Lisa, send me your notes. I will clean this up a little bit and put the zones that these flowers grow in and send you a copy of my notes. Yes, I actually there are a couple of cookbooks out there. I'm looking them up for you. The Edible Flower Garden, published March 1999 by Rosalind Creasy. On Amazon, it's $13.69 right now. It's on sale until October 22nd. There's one called Feasting on Flowers. Simple recipes and ideas for cooking at home with edible flowers by Lauren Lulu Taylor. $2.99. That's not bad. Botanical baking, contemporary baking and cake decorating with edible flowers and herbs. Edible flowers, how, why, and when we eat flowers. So go to Amazon.com and type in edible flower cookbook, and you'll get a whole list. Okay. So I'm closing the contest for the balsam, and we have 1, 2, 3. Only 3 of you? 3 out of 9 want a chance at the balsam? Okay, roll the wheel, Charlie.
2.
He says 2. Y'all let me know if there's more than 3 people here. Because I'm seeing number 2 is the Dark Lord Manette. Let me write that down. You got the balsam. Okay, Dark Lord, you see my email scrolling across the screen, I'm sure. You need to send me your mailing address, and I'll send you your seed. Okay? All right. Come on, 9 people in here. 9 people in here. Who wants a chance at these really weird looking viola? I'll give you a minute to type in viola. Viola. Those can freeze. They can have snow on them, and they're absolutely fine. They come through the winter. Start them inside as soon as you get them. Put them out when they're like an inch tall, and you'll have them all winter. There's David. There's Ruth. There's Stinky. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You need to get down. We're having fun. You need to get down. Cats. Is 3 our magic number tonight? Only 3 people? No one else wants viola? Viola, viola. Okay, Charlie, run the wheel for the random pick of numbers 1 through 3.
3.
3. You see 4. So if you see 4, then it's Ruth. Is Ruth number 3? Ruth is number 3. Ruth, send me an email. I didn't keep your address. I think you've won with me once before. Was Ruth number 3? 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, now I see. OCD, you must be lagging. It took him a minute took a second to pop up. Or I'm lagging. All right. Who wants to try the stocks? Type in stocks. I'll give you a minute. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. Think of all those people that came and went. They're missing out on this. Another 25 seconds. One of the people is my husband, so there's really only 7 people here. Charlie?
Mhm.
Look, Bottom of the page. One, two, 3, 4. 4 people want stocks. David Gray, you don't want stocks? Oh, there he is. 5. 1, 2, 3. No, it's 4. Why am I so confused? Pick a number from 1 to 4, Charlie.
1.
2, you say? It looks like it stopped halfway between 1 and 2. Hey, Dark Lord, do you mind if we do 2 since you already won 1 and put A Brown down for this? Okay. A Brown, you got the stocks. And for the other balsam, let's do this for a minute. Balsam 2. Hey Brown, don't forget to send me an email with your mailing address. Type in Balsam 2 if you have not won yet. Give you a minute. So far, only David Graham. Uh-oh, okay. OCD? You should, Dark Lord. Ten seconds. There she is. Charlie, you've got a 50-50 chance of picking the winner here. Which one? You want 1 or 2?
1.
1. David Gray. David, don't forget to send me an email and claim your seed. Not to fear, OCD. OCD, pick a number between 1 and 45. Dark Lord. 45. You don't want Feverfew. Pick another number. Let's just go to pick it out of here. Feverfew tastes terrible. Pick another one, Nikki. $22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and I'm not going to give you broccoli and cauliflower either. Here's 22. Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you, Nikki? German chamomile. Look good? What? And not have the suspense of watching me count? Okay. Send me your mailing address. German chamomile. Are you approving? Meow. Okay, y'all. I hope you all enjoyed tonight. I'm going to try to do a live broadcast every other week, so it'll be 2 Thursdays from now, which will be in November. November 3rd, I guess, is the next broadcast. And thank you for coming. I know we're starting out. This is only my 3rd live, so I guess we should be happy with. At one point, we had 12 people in here. No, fur baby's eating the snack I have on my desk. Thank you for coming, A. Brown. Really, if you have a request for a theme for a broadcast, then let me know, and we'll see if we can accommodate. I got cat hair up my nose. Yeah, stinky. Slow and steady. Yep, and we're just starting the channel and aiming at 1,000 subscribers, and I'd like to get it going. And what is S4090? Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, A. Brown. Thank you, Dave Gray. Who else is still in here? Everyone has showed up. Thank you so much. So, Dark Lord, I'm giving you a chance to educate us in your last political statement. S4090, what is that? I think Dark Lord may have left. All right. Oh, unless you jump through a bunch of hoops and pay out the nose to be regulated for it. For what? I tend not to remember what the bill numbers are. I remember the bills by name, so whether it's federal or local. Cat hair up the nose. But it posted. So did you all enjoy this? Hopefully. Was I okay? Did I pass muster? Okay, keep an eye out for the videos. I know I've been absent for a little bit, but I've had all sorts of fires to put out in real life. And then Charlie over here is running temps of 102 with a kidney infection. So we are a little bit slower than usual, but we're starting to get back in it. And I hope to see you in the next live, but in between, I hope to see you thumbing up and get your friends to subscribe and come in and don't forget, I will do videos if you ask me for gardening related videos, craft, cooking. Uh, I aim to please. So you all have a wonderful night, and until next time, see ya. I never know how to turn these things off now. Thank you, Dark Lord. We're halfway there. A Brown says, take care, Charlie.
Tell them thanks. I've,
He says, thank you.
I've lost the screen.
How do we end this? I got to go back to StreamYard and end broadcast. Ruth says, get better, Charlie.